All right, so finally, I'm having you on my show, and I don't know why it took so long because we had a blast doing Super Soul Sunday, and we just connected so easily the second I met you. I feel like it was just like you're one of those people that you feel like you've met before, and it's just so easy. And I want to dive into immediately everything that you're doing right now, and just where do you get the motivation to actually do all of these things that you do every single day?
Yes. Well, girl, thanks for having me on. I absolutely love it. And so glad to just see you again. Cause yes, we had an instant connection, an amazing show that blessed people, guests, and we really killed it. So I'm happy to be here. Gosh, the motivation. So it's interesting because, I do most of what I do to help. Like I want to be useful. I want to use the gifts that God gave me to assist, to serve. So, so I have a few things going on. I have Kings Speak and Queens Glean, which are two shows that I produce and put on YouTube. And that came from, I used to work in women's healing, and I used to work in a woman's life coach and intuitive healing circle type of situation. So when I would post things about that, some of my guys would inbox me and be like, when are you going to do something for us? And I was like, I didn't know men cared about like healing circles and
Oh,
all of
that's
this
really
stuff.
cool.
So
Yeah.
so I was like, oh, we need to do something for us. Okay, well, what can I do? So pre-COVID, if you can remember what that was like, I came up with an event series, and I partnered with a restaurant who had like this 5-course dinner and scotch tasting series. And I'm like, oh, well, that sounds amazing for men to get together, talk, and da-da-da. So I did that. It was great. Wanted to keep it going. COVID hit, but I was like, how can I still, use my voice to see what's on the hearts and minds of men? Because I've dated, guys that they're pretty decent and there was nothing wrong with them, but it's like, dude, you don't know, like
You're in their head, really.
You're just being in their head and just not really seeming to have the tools, the communication, and the heart posture to actually receive and navigate a healthy relationship. I'm just like, and we're, as women, we're not their therapists. We can't fix men. We talk about it all the time.
And when you're in a relationship, there's also a different attachment. We have blind spots because you care about the person, and your emotions give, excuses for why they do things, and vice versa. But now I have to ask, what have you learned with these conversations? Because I'm sure they just really tell you everything, right? There's no holding back.
Yeah, there's no point. I'm an interviewer, and with my questions coming from the mouth of a woman and listening to, there's that feminine aspect of how I feel and what I'm asking and them responding. One is that men and women are not raised the same. So if you think about it, men that are not ready to be in a serious relationship get aggravated when they start to meet a woman, do this and that. And she's like, okay, well, are we dating? Are we doing this? What are we doing? Da, 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 da. And I try to share with my guy friends, like, you have to take some responsibility in how you approach this thing and be clear about what you want and where you're headed. We're raised, be pretty, be graceful, get married, have babies, be young, be cute, and do it all. Because if you don't do it, you don't show up, you're not going to get a man. And we're raised like press, do it, da.
Right.
And they're raised like, boys will be boys, sow your wild oats. It's no big deal.
So frustrating, my God. And then we have to do it all with this smile, but not too aggressive, because then you're a bitch, right?
My gosh. But then don't they like that? And then this and that.
Right?
So it's just, it's a mess. So it's just learning that, okay, we weren't raised the same. We have different ideas and values. How do we find synergy through communication? So that way we're not butting heads so much, because it's like, you're wondering why, okay, we got together, where's the baby's kids, marriage, da, 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 da. But it's like, we're raised that way. So give us grace, but you are a little bit too relaxed. So if you don't want some, so things like that. There's a lot of men with trauma and women where their parents didn't tell them they love them, as they were growing up. Some households are not very hands-on. And if you came from a single parent household, some of them, like, they thought that loving someone was just doing the work and doing this, but no, sometimes it's a hug. Sometimes it's verbalizing, I love you. And so there's men who have trouble with doing that because they weren't raised with that tenderness. They play games. The games are real. So it really is up to us to look, because if you're running across a man with too much time on his hands, like, he's going to play a game. Like, you need to be able to stick firm to your values and principles. Know what they are, stick firm. And if you got to let them go out the door, let them go out the door, because they will play if they can play. Not all guys are good. Sometimes I used to think like, I'm nice, I'm good. Like, who would do this? And no, they'll do it. They will, and they talk about it too. So it's just like all of these things, and I'm just like, wow.
What do you think you can take back into dating now that you've had this perspective and these raw conversations? What are you going to implement in your next relationship?
More understanding, more communication, me trying to, I need to be a little bit more honest with myself and make sure that I'm sticking around guys with the right intentions. I'm listening for things. I read a book called Male versus Man by John Joy Whitfield. And long story short, he says the difference between a male and a man. A male, just because you are big, grown, got a beard, a deep voice, and all, that doesn't make you a man. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people running around here like, men are this, or I'm a man. And it's like, no, you're a male.
Right. I love that because image is everything, but is it?
No, it's what you do. So men serve, males look to be served. So if you got a man who's out here looking for you to do everything and is not willing to figure out how to make your life better, you're dealing with a male, not a man. So we need to be able to tell the difference. Yeah. So it's just, yeah.
And what about the women? Because, you know, obviously you are a woman and you have this different perspective going into those conversations. But what's been the most surprising in your interviews so far with the ladies?
The surprising, so I didn't, like, this really is an issue. We really have not been taught how to vet relationships. I wasn't taught. I wasn't taught how to find the right man. Were your parents, did your parents sit you down and really say, heal your trauma, make sure you're clear on what you want, you know, ask this man these questions, I didn't get training. We need training. No wonder.
It's like, you would think at some point we have those conversations, but I feel like the closest was probably just like generic, like make sure he has a good education. Yeah, like the basics, but nothing about like the core really.
What was your relationship like with your mother? What was your relationship like with your father? Do you want to be married? Do you have, like, you need to find out, like, do these men have issues? Mm-hmm. Because a lot of them do. And are they willing to work on them? And all of these things, like, people complain like, oh, 60% of marriages don't work. And marriages, it's not the institution of marriage. It's the way we're going about getting there. That's off, if you ask me. And so it becomes clear as I hear people talk, and I'm just like, well, no wonder, like, we're not getting along.
I think like so many other things in our society, we are looking at the label, we're looking at the outside image. So it's really sad how many people are miserable, but on the outside, even, you know, we see all the time on social media, people look so happy. And then the next week you're getting the headline about a divorce. And it's so sad that we're all aware of the facade and it's not reality. And I do feel like it's getting a little bit real, especially now with this past year. I feel like people are speaking a little bit more of their truth, but it's really sad that we care so much about this outer image that we're willing to not be happy for it. Like, what's the point of that?
But the thing is a lot of the times we don't know we're not happy. And why I'm saying that is a lot of us are a lot more addicted to trauma than you think. Yeah. So we're thinking a lot of the times that we're going through the relationship, this is just the bumps in the road, and we need to be able to tell the difference of when we really need to walk away and there's an issue and when we're fighting together. But another thing that I uncovered today with, an interview is that we've been fronting like that because I know for when it comes to like the Black community and the church and this and that, like before social media, people been fronting like, okay, let's clean the kids up. We're going to go out to church now. Everybody's looking good. We're smiling and we're out here and we're just a good, happy, God-fearing couple. And then you go home, you cussing each other out, you popping your kids in the mouth, like everybody, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, we've kind of been in that space where we're fronting because not only have we not learned to navigate these relationships, but it's like, I don't know what it is about the person, like, because we put so much weight on get married, have a baby, do this, the end. Like, I think people feel pressured to show that performance of
good work.
We did it. Look at us. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah. Do you think having these conversations that we're right about thinking the culture is actually changing? Do you think that we'll see maybe more people not get married or not do the traditional route, but actually be happy and stay together?
Yeah, I definitely think because of COVID, it has given a lot of people a chance to sit down and look in the mirror, which I think is a beautiful thing.
It
Is
is.
COVID, you know how it is, girl. You got to find the positive out of the negative. COVID was terrible. I know people lost their lives.
Yeah.
There's all of these things, but there's also, I want to be mindful with my words, not to offend anybody, but when I say we needed it, I don't mean, it happened and everything happens for
I
a
agree
reason.
with
You
you.
know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
So
like
we needed to
sometimes
sit
you don't
down.
see your truth until you are forced with the mirror in front of your face. And 2020 was the ultimate reflection of
Mm.
so many issues that like I was completely ignorant to. And I don't mean to cut you off, but I 100% feel like I have learned so much in this past year than I probably have in the last 5-6 years, just as far as what's going on in this world. I didn't know, and I felt stupid, but I know a lot of people shared that same feeling. So at least we're, what's the expression? Never too late or whatever it is. Like we're here now.
Yeah.
Let's make change. Now that we know, let's make change.
Yeah, absolutely. And I believe that's what's happening. A lot of people had a chance to look in the mirror because they were rid of their distractions. So yeah, a lot of people broke up because it's like, dang, this is who I married. This is who I'm with.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no trips, no clubs, no getting away, no working it away, no separate.
Yeah.
You're there in each other's face. But there's also people who got together in this and had the chance to not have all of these outside distractions that it was like, oh, we're all over the place. We're traveling, we're getting, no, we're sitting here and we're talking. We're getting to know each other. We're blah, blah, blah. So you were either getting to know someone else, separating from someone you maybe shouldn't have been with and you didn't really realize, or you were really getting to know yourself. And the value in that, I believe, is going to produce more healthy relationships.
100%. And realizing, okay, I either want so much more for myself than this, or on the flip side, realizing, wow, look what I had that I didn't realize. And I feel like you and I were somewhere in the middle where we both always appreciated that we are very lucky, we're very blessed, we have a lot in our lives, but we've always had this desire for more and just fulfillment. I think not so much like materialistic more, but just like purpose and drive. That's engraved in us, and that's, I think, we clicked so well because we both just like felt this fire and excitement to have deeper conversations, because frankly we're just over the bullshit. Especially with dating, I'm sure you are at this point too, where I just don't ask me my favorite color. Like, let's get to the meat and potatoes of like what we're doing here. And it's not like you have to be super serious, but like just want to have a real conversation with someone. And it's just, if anything, this year's taught us is we don't have time to waste on that bullshit. Like, talk to someone, get to know them, ask those questions, and find someone that wants to ask you questions about yourself too. And I'm so proud of you, because in AfterBuzz we used to talk all the time about our daily stresses of just feeling like you're so close but you don't know what it is, and we're trying to silence the voices so we can hear those messages, and still working on that. But you made a move to Texas, and you got to tell me everything about that. How you felt? Was it scary? Was it everything you hoped it would be? Tell me everything.
Yes. And just really quick, because you said something that sparked a thought, I want to share it before I get into Texas, is that this also gave us an opportunity to think about what we really want. Some people get in a very performative space where they want what they think other people think they should want, or what other people say they should have and stuff. So
What they've
now
learned that they want growing up.
correct. So just figuring out the authenticity of who you are and what you really want, which is so important, because what you want may not be what mainstream says is cool, or what, someone else wanted for you or whatever, but just, putting out that out there. But
No, great.
Texas, girl, I'm happy here. I needed the space. I was in a place, my apartment, it was in the middle of the city. It was my spirit outgrew the space. I was grateful for it, but I outgrew it. When you outgrow things, you get extremely uncomfortable. And because of the situation that thankfully I put myself in last year, this is why this taught me to stop tripping. Like you said, we used to wonder, like, I'm doing all this work, or I'm doing this or that, or when is this going to hit, or when, and that used to bother me in a particular way. Like, how am I working at this place doing this? Like, I accept it. But I thought, all of these things is like, I've been able to pull back and look at things from a bigger eye view. And I'm looking at this little blip in time, and I'm like, wow, I was led to get this particular job at this particular time. I saved in a very particular way. I paid, like, the plan that I had, even though it didn't go obviously exactly the way I thought, it still pushed me along. And then COVID, I was still headed in the right direction. So following my heart, doing something that I didn't feel like I wanted to do, but I needed to do, opened up the space to give me space to do what I wanted to do, which is weird. And it's like, we don't know how things are going to turn out. So me being obedient to what I was obedient to in 2019 put me in a space where I literally feel like I have everything I prayed for right now. I prayed specifically to have space in a particular way, time in a particular way, to hear myself grow, do this, all of the things. And I'm living in abundance, and I have space. And, so Texas is open, and I get it. I haven't really been out anywhere. I haven't gotten to explore too much. But if I want to go out to eat, I can go out to eat. You know what I'm saying? The tables are far enough. They're still doing precautions, but it's just like, I needed that. I couldn't have stayed in California, girl. Like, I couldn't have.
And not just
so now
this,
I'm
but I
happy.
see it in you. You've always been this queen, Jaimi, when I met you, but I see it. There's like a radiance in you, and it's not just the ring light. I can tell that you are just in your space, and you even have a posture class for women. Is that right? Can you explain?
Yes, girl.
This is like the problem with me interviewing you, because there's so much I want to say all the time, but I remember I got this advice from a guy, and at first I was like, F off. But then I was like, wow, he's completely right. He called me out for the way I was standing, and I had my feet kind of crossed. And he told me that when I stand that way, I don't come off as confident. And when I talk to people, I should put my shoulders back, and I should stand up tall, and I should say what I want to say. And I've kept that in me. And when I find myself doing the little timid posture, I change it, because posture is so important to your confidence. So when you said that you did a class about that, I just thought that was a brilliant first step for women who need to find their voice or are working on finding that inner confidence.
Yes, and that's exactly what it is. It's called The Power of Posture. You can go to my Instagram and click the link in bio and get it there. And it's a culmination of all my experiences and sharing like who I am as a person and why I can tell you, because it is putting your shoulders back, and it is keeping your head up, and it is walking into a room deserving to be there. But that also comes with an inner posture. Posture has two definitions. One, it's how you're standing, but it's also how you approach a situation. So that's an inner and outer look. It's not just a class on shoulders back, head up, let's put a book on your head. It is about getting in alignment with the reality of who you are. And that gives you the confidence and the boldness to go after what you want. A lot of times with these classes, it's like a little bit too much. Like the way my course is written, it is in a way where everybody will benefit and get what they personally are looking for from it. If you follow what it is that I'm saying about your mindset, how to look at things, how to look at time, how to approach certain situations and all that, you're going to find your own. It becomes a lens where you're attracting what is literally for you. And it's about being more feminine. I'm a woman who was like, boss this, blah, blah, blah. But I remember when I started my first business, my heart was broken. And, when we play up on our masculine energy as women, I believe it's simply because we're afraid. When you are tight and your heart is closed and you feel like prey, you do put off a energy that's kind of like, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so we're out here, boss babe did it. And not to say you can't be a boss, but there's our feminine power is so much more than having to bark from the rooftops about what we are and who we do. My posture says it all. When I walk into a room, I can change molecules in the entire room because of who I am and the knowing of who God says I am. So it's really about learning how to flow in the power of our feminine energy and our own authentic power so we can attract what's for us. Maybe some people it's a man, a husband, a this, or that. Some people say it's about what's for you and putting yourself in that alignment for it. Yeah.
You're like my guardian angel. You always give me the messages I need to hear right at those particular moments that I just need to hear them. But what I especially love about your message too is that you can be this confident woman. You can be strong without being intimidating and mean to other women. And I think for a long time, especially in LA, this industry, just really social media, we were taught that it is that like fight, protect, I'm the baddest bitch. And it's like, you can be a bad bitch with all your friends. Like that doesn't, if you're confident in who you are, you know what I mean? Like if you know at your core that you are confident, bad bitch, you don't need to put other people down because it's just like, it's pointless. Why do I need to do that if I know who I am? Why would I? Well, anyone who does that, it's just so obvious that they need something to make them feel bigger. So then they put other people down. So it's just such a better environment when we're just friendly to each other, and girls don't have to give girls stink faces when they walk in a club. It's just like the days of that, I'm just not here for it. And, you know, it doesn't mean you're going to get along with every single woman you meet, but just initially give people a chance and get to know them, and knowing that you can be both. You can be strong and powerful and friendly. Like it's possible. And I think you're exactly of that.
No, it's very true.
Do you have any stories of women that you've met that you could see the light was in them, but anything in particular that you said that you were really happy to see that it really brought it out of them and you got that like yes moment for yourself?
Let's see. I definitely think that, let me think of I do, let's see. Gosh. I would have to think for a second because there's a few little things that come to mind with some people, but what I can say is I think what makes what I wrote powerful is I could see it for myself, and I became that person. You know, I could tell that I went from kind of operating from a broken space to more of a space where I was flowing. And that's what it's all about. When we're not in the flow and we think we can control everything, we create this vibration of rigidity around that almost repels what we want. And for the longest, I didn't know why.
I think I'm doing that.
Yeah, and it really is energetic and vibrational without being like woo-woo about it. Like I've been studying quantum physics and science and all of this stuff. And there's so much to it. I think you told me you read Ask and It Is Given. You read that book. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're spiritual. We read books like that and this, that, and the other, but more than it's like studying science and reading that helps me understand even the Bible more. Mm-hmm. Because try to picture this. It's like, how do I explain this in a way where it's not crazy? So it's like, this is what I had to learn. You know, they're like, oh, if you can think it, you can have it, and it just sounds cute until you think of the science of it, right? So imagine, let's just say this. If you can think of a memory in the past, you can run it in your mind. You almost feel the feelings, a surprise birthday, your first heartbreak, your this and that. You can have that moment. So if you can do that, what is the difference in visualizing what you want for the future?
Yeah.
Because everything is now.
Yeah.
So if I think of a memory now. It's not 4 years ago. How could it be? That doesn't exist anymore. It's now. So if I can think of that now and make that so real, what that tells me I can create my future now as well, because now is the only time that exists.
Essentially saying that,
and that's how it
even put the sequence of events together and make it happen in your favor, then what's the difference of bringing those events in your mind to the forefront of reality? And I think that it all is just faith, believing that you can do it, taking just the thought and implementing it to an action. And I think that's where most people get stuck. But I do feel like people like you help, because you affirm the power of positive words. And it's almost crazy that you had to preface your comment with, I know this, how am I going to say this in a way that doesn't sound crazy? But you're saying the truth. You're saying like, that's just how it actually works. Your mind is so powerful. And the fact that we have to learn to get back to just the basics of how we should have been taught in the first place. And to the point, I have to preface, this might sound crazy, but do you know what I'm saying? I hope that makes sense. That like, that is how it's done. Why is this the crazy idea? Yeah.
We've been fooled. And so the quicker we can realize that, and then additionally, you don't have to think about the how, because like I am exactly where I prayed to be. There was a time where I didn't think I'd ever be able to say that. Everything I have around me, I remember praying so hard for this.
I remember conversations in my car about this stuff, so I'm so happy to see it.
Girl, and so it's like, but did I know? I could have never predicted how it was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we need to let go, because there's infinite possibilities. If you really think of everything that the world is made up of is called quanta, like all the little molecules and particles. If let's say there's 2 slits in a screen and you have quanta and you're shooting them through the screen, they will go everywhere. But if you come over here and observe them and have an intention, they're only going to go through these slits. Sounds weird, but it's like, all I'm saying is everything around us requires, money is only money because we acknowledge it as such and say that. Otherwise, what is it? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So if we don't have no intention and we're not focused on it, then yeah, it just flies everywhere. But if I say, I know I'm going to get the CLA 250 Mercedes, that 2020 CLA 50 Mercedes, whatever, focus on the car. And all the little molecules will start to go into the spaces. Otherwise, they're infinite. So, but I don't know how. Somebody could give it to me. I could win it. I could come up on, girl, let me tell you something. I have been manifesting money. And when I let go, I started reading this book, The Divine Laws of Prosperity. So there's a little book for y'all, The Divine Laws of Prosperity.
I was going to say that answers my resources question. There you go.
Get the Divine Laws of Prosperity. So I started saying the mantras like, my words have prospering power. I'm a child of fortune. I'm a child of the universe. And I'm believing like, you know what do I have to lose by believing? So girl, I started reading the book, not October 25th. I got an inbox from a talent agency who was looking for me. And I'm like, I don't even know them. I was never even placed with them, but she said she had a check for me. So I'm like, wow, cool, great. So long story short, I get through everything. She did it. I had to call finance, blah, blah. They couldn't find me. Come to find out, finance had 3 checks for me. So I'm in the bed making calls. I didn't go out there, hustle, work more,
Yeah.
A commercial I did in 2016 had 3 checks for me. Why they didn't have my address, I don't know. This was 2016. Wow. And now all of a sudden the universe has opened up and made sure that what was mine got to me. Like, come on. Like, I can't make this up. I could have never told you. I couldn't have told you. Like, how would I have written that? Yeah.
It's just when you change your perspective. And again, this is the exact message I needed today, because today, I'll text you later, but today did come down kind of heavy, and I found myself going into panic of, I don't know what I'm going to do mode, and everything's happening all at once. But you really do just remind me that there are infinite possibilities, and energy is always around us, right? So we might as well do our best to flow with it than against it, because it's a hell of a lot harder the other way. And
we have more power. It's a posture. Yeah. It's nuts.
Proof that it works. And I could honestly, we could talk for hours, but I do have to let you go. I think we're going to need to schedule a part 2 or something, because we can.
Yes, let's do it.
Of course, I'll plug your social so everyone can go check out and support what you're doing. You're doing incredible things, and I'm so, so happy to see you and finally catch up. And I love you, and thank you so much.
Love you. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Bye.